The build of Marty's two-door STI is continuing, and as such, we'd like to tell you about our Mad Limited Edition posters.
That's right, you can get them from the Mighty Car Mod shop. We've got a link below. Jump on. We will autograph them and send them anywhere in the world that the post goes.
Which is your house. These, once they're gone, they will be gone forever. So grab yours now. You can start your collection or add to your collection. All right, let's jump into the video. Today we are kicking off the build of this mad two-door WRX STI. I just want to give a big shout out to Castrol and Supercheap Auto, who are giving you the chance to win $100,000 towards your dream car. Just head into Supercheap Auto, grab some Castrol oil, and if you're a club member or a trade member, you could be rolling in the Benjamins or the pineapples, the Australian equivalent. All of the details are in the link below.
This car has been a bit of a dream of mine to have my own two-door manual 6-speed STI. A bunch of modifications have already been done, but I did have a bit of bad luck on the track, and today we're going to fix it. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. This caused me a few dramas on the racetrack. Now, last episode we pulled the engine down with the help of my talented friend Aaron, and we worked out that somehow a piston had caught the bore, something had happened to the engine, it was a bad time. We pulled it apart, but don't worry, because plans are afoot. That is a short block. That has pistons and other things all in it, and you rebuild that along with everything else. We've got a bunch of parts here to put on the car to make it excellent, to make it more reliable, heaps of aftermarket mad stuff, and basically the entire thing is going to be rebuilt back together so the car can be working and perfect once again.
No, so we're not rebuilding anything. This here is a 2.5 litre STI engine that I got extremely cheap, crashed in a blue STI. Remember that one, Martin?
Dude, this is awesome. It looks perfect.
It is perfect.
Fully banana, dude.
Yeah, it's a start right
I can see from here that the front of the car points that way.
Yes, we already know that this engine works because for a small amount of time, it was in the Lavorg. The reason we don't need to rebuild this is because Subarus are so good that the Subaru Factory already built one, and this is perfect. And finally, your WRX will be an STI because this is from a 2018 STI. Stick it in your two-door WRX, that instantly becomes instantly becomes a...
It's already an STI.
It's about to be more
Can I
of an
stop you right there?
Okay.
This is completely about purity. That's a two-door, that has an STI engine in it. Did we just get it rebuilt? We just rebuilt it. Look, it's right.
No.
It's right there. What?
I have one question for you. Are you hungry?
Always.
No, to drive your car.
Very. It's been way too long.
Just one word answers.
Okay.
Are you hungry
Yes.
to drive? Okay. Would you like to drive your car in 4 months' time?
Yes.
Okay. Would you prefer to drive your car in 4 weeks' time?
Absolutely.
Would it be even better if potentially you were almost driving it, but probably not likely, but maybe in 4 days' time?
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yes.
That is why I said I'd help, and I'm here to help. This engine has
Arguable.
been sitting right there in the corner of the room where we may as well have an SR20 taking up that space. This here is a 2.5 litre engine from a WRX STI. That is apparently an STI that has no engine. You get that, you get that, you get mwah, and you. It got a bit weird, but you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
We can still use most of this stuff.
What about the purity police, dude?
Who?
The purity police. There's the Subaru people like, you can't have a 257, you've got to have a 207, and if it's a 257, it's not the same, and it's not legitimate, and you're illegitimate.
Yeah. That's fine. How many of them are you going to let drive it?
0.
Okay.
I may not even let you drive it.
What?
Because I'm going to end up in the same situation. 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa, that was a launch.
That's not a minute clutch, sorry.
That's clutch, Nissan driver. I'll let you drive it. You're a
Okay,
good dude.
the point is, Martin.
Yep. Can you not just hit the red line all the time though?
Martin,
100% throttle, not all the time?
how many cars have you blown up? How many drones have you crashed? Let's not talk about that.
I just broke super grips.
The point is, this is here. It's been sitting in the corner for
Yeah, I
over
know.
a year.
Yeah.
Just put it in your car. And if these things are as Lego as you say they are, if you don't like it, stick that stuff in there.
The rest of the drive line matches this. So
That's not stock anyway.
No.
The purity already went out the window when you changed the driveline.
How much better is it?
Well, Martin.
Are we
Come on,
arguing
man.
the same thing?
No. Here's it in a nutshell. You're saying some people on the internet might not be happy with this choice.
Yes.
I'm saying they can f off. Let's do what we want and works for us by doing what I want.
In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we're putting this EJ257 STI engine into my two-door STI.
You doing it? Just one word answers, Martin.
Can I
Just one word
Can I get
answers.
multiple words just for this?
Are we doing it?
Yay! Only because I don't want to get an engine stuck in a machine shop for 6 months. That's my main reason. The 207s are pretty special, but this was excellent. Arguably the best engine ever made.
Can I get the bin now for all of that?
Yeah, let's do it. First things first, a little bit of revision. This is the engine that we pulled out of the crashed STI that my good friend did get for me. We did a bunch of modifications to it actually, because it went into the Lavore with the rest of the driveline. We did a few mods, some really nice stuff just to modernise, and new fuel system, new bits and pieces to get as much power as we could out of it. From memory, it made just over 200 kilowatts at all fours in that particular car. There's bits and pieces on this particular engine for this car that don't need to be on there, and also a couple of service jobs going to do while it's out of the car.
Subaru Lego really is a thing, and it's going to mean this car will be running within a week. I'll leave some purity on the table to be boosting down the highway in my mad two-door, which I have missed driving so much. We're going to strip this of anything that we don't need and then replace any service items like belts and spark plugs while it's all really easy to get to. I'm also going to install an array of sensors which will help keep an eye on this engine and prevent it having an issue like the last one. That means I'll be able to monitor not only oil temperature and pressure, but also coolant temperature and pressure, which is very important in a Subaru. I can then set up safety parameters in the ECU to limit things and try and prevent any damage. It's not completely foolproof, but it gives me the best chance of keeping this engine alive.
Top and the sides of the motor are done. Now it's time to remove the exhaust manifold and the sump. Why is this coming off? You'll see. This is a sump and baffle that's made by Rally Sport Design over in New Zealand. They saw that we were doing this thing and they said, can we please send you a new sump? It's very highly likely that the engine failure I experienced at the racetrack was due to oil control or lack of. Starve the pickup round a corner and there's no oil, and next minute you're catching the bore and having a bad time, the engine grows. Anyway, we don't know for sure, but what I know for sure is if you're going to put one of these engines in and you're going to this length, it's a really good idea to update the sump, especially if you're going to do track work. So that's what we're going to do. There's a multitude of options out there, but this one looks really nice. That basically goes into this sump. The sump is also modified as well. It looks like a factory one, but it's modified. That plate goes in there. We've also got an updated windage or windage tray as well. So bolt this in, bolt that in, put a pickup on, put it back together and slap it in the car.
Oil control is essential inside an engine. Some cars are better at this than others from the factory, and while best efforts are usually made to have the car's oiling system work well under normal circumstances, I would argue that a huge proportion of Subarus in the modified scene are operated far outside what you consider normal. There's a few supporting mods like this one that can help keep the engine running reliably. It still won't stop the ringlands being blown apart from too much boost or timing, but if you're sensible with the tune, then these can last plenty of track days and car park donut sessions.
Okay, the sump is on. That was a little bit more fiddly than I anticipated, but it's a very important job to do to help with oil control, particularly when you're on the track. But now the engine is still out of the car, we can look at other fun things like turbos.
Now, for the last year on Mighty Car Mods, we have been playing around with a more kind of responsive attitude when it comes to turbochargers. So with my 240Z, same peak power, way more power underneath the curve. We did a similar thing also with the Gemini, and as such, sometimes a medium-sized turbo or a more modern turbo, or in this case, what I'm suggesting, a twin-scroll turbocharger is going to be the way to go.
Except the twin-scroll stuff, Subaru twin-scroll stuff, is a little bit rare, and most of them are in Japan.
Which is why I went to Japan to get one. I've come back to Japan, one of my favourite places on the planet, with boundless natural beauty, a rich cultural history, and home to some of the most exciting automotive creations ever. Japan does many things well, but cars have got to be up near the top of that list. My mission is simple: get some curry at Coco's, stock up on some snacks from one of the many convenience stores, and then pretty much take every single public transport option available to go to a place that I've never visited before, Ota City, known for its wild bird park, its Nori Seaweed Museum, and the Gunma Subaru Factory. Originally, Subaru, under a different name, started off as an aircraft research lab in 1915 and made planes during World War II, which probably explains why this plane is out the front. In 1946, they made the Fuji Rabbit scooter, and since then, a whole host of some of Marty's favourite dream cars, and they were created right here in Japan. Cars like the Brumby and the Legacy Touring Wagon. But what I'm looking for today is something closer to this. It's the spicy sauce for this boxer engine. It's a brand new turbocharger. So it turns out that if you want overnight parts from Japan, the quickest and easiest way to get them is actually come to Japan yourself. So Subaru have said I can come down to the factory and pick up a turbocharger for this WRX project. So that is what I'm going to do right now. There's a Subaru bus. Look at that, a Subaru bus. All right, we're going in here. Come with me. Konnichiwa.
Welcome to Subaru.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I'm here for the turbocharger.
Yeah. This pump charger.
Oh, arigatou gozaimasu.
ありがとうございます。
With my precious cargo packed up, I do the reverse trip of what I've just done and head straight back to Australia. So this here is a VF49 twin-scroll JDM turbocharger as seen on Japanese STIs. And as you can see, I'll actually take it out of this plastic so we can have a look. There is a twin inlet. Like that. So it does need some different kind of compatible bits that we'll talk about in a minute to actually make them work on the engine. This here, we did not get this version here in Australia, and this is incredibly hard to find as a new item. So we contacted Subaru and it looked like there was less than 10 of them left on their system. So I want to say a massive thank you to Subaru Australia and Subaru Japan for hooking us up with this. And now, Martin, show us your dual pulsing, screen-strolling pipes.
Scrim trolling?
Yes.
Trim scrolling. What?
Scrim
twin,
trolls.
Twin scrolling. Okay, twin scrolling. That kind of gives it away. So it's split pulses, which is cool. So the turbo sits up on that like this. This is actually aftermarket made by Pro Speed Racing here in Australia. This is headers and an up pipe to make it fit onto our car. You can't just install one of these without doing so. The normal Subarus are single entry. So this whole setup is pretty cool. Just something a little bit different, a little bit fun, and very responsive, allegedly. We're going to find out. So we have to install this onto the engine. This is easy to do with the engine out of the car.
Yep.
So now's the time.
It's very fancy, and something that I've never seen before is that actually ships with this piece in here, and I gather that's to keep tension off this mount here, and then when it arrives, you take that off. Martin, it's all looking very fancy. We're going for that delicious OEM plus.
Yes, exactly.
And again, way easier to do all of this stuff while the engine is out of the car. So the plan is to start bolting stuff on and then throw that in there.
The packaging of the turbo system on a Subaru is pretty unique. It sits up at the backside of the engine and is fed from the manifolds underneath via what's known as an up pipe. Then things spin around, magic happens, and the spent exhaust gas is dumped out. Normally, all of that is combined through unequal length exhaust headers, which gives these cars the iconic dub-dub Subaru exhaust note. Now, twin-scroll turbos have been around for a long time, but have made a bit of a comeback. They promise increased turbine efficiency, less mixing losses, and quicker boost response. It all starts to get pretty technical, but what we're chasing is a solid mid-range of power and torque, and hoping this turbo will help get us there. There's a few small changes that need to be made with brackets and hoses to make this work, but overall it's a pretty straightforward swap. It's worth mentioning that you have to have compatible sump to go twin-scroll, which we now do. With our manifolds installed onto the engine, we can prep it to be put back into the car. While it's out, we'll do a rear main seal and also look at changing our clutch. Our mate Aaron is dropping by to help with this bit, as getting everything bolted up to the gearbox can be a little bit tricky.
Engine's about to go in. Time to think about clutch. Before, we actually did have a twin plate on this car. The reason we had a twin plate was because I was at one point thinking about putting the 6-cylinder H6 in it that ended up going in the Levorg in this. I'm glad I didn't, because actually this is going to be excellent. For that reason though, I am downgrading from a twin plate to a heavy duty single. That's just for drivability, just to make it nice and feel light underfoot, which is a big deal. But what I also have, which is awesome, is a chromoly flywheel. So we've got a nice flywheel, a little bit lighter than stock, really nice heavy duty clutch. This will hold the torque for the kind of turbo we're using. And yes, you can pretty much spec your clutch off what kind of turbo you're going to put on a car like that based on how much torque you're going to make, because that's what these are rated to. Very excited to put this on. It is an Extreme clutch from Australian Clutch Services. Going straight in the car, going to be excellent.
When we first got this car, I put in a 6-speed gearbox and matching driveline from a 2006 STI. That means stronger gearbox, bigger drive shafts, hubs and brakes. In that year, the STIs in Australia went to a 2.5 litre engine, but remained 2 litre in Japan. The car was then essentially future-proofed, as the 6 speeds are known to handle well over 400 kilowatts and big torque like we had in the Levorg. It also has the centre diff controller, so I can change the bias from front to rear. Overall, it should be an excellent combo that I cannot wait to drive. The new clutch goes on without too much fuss, and now we can drop the engine into place using an engine crane. Not forgetting our Mighty Car Mods guard covers that you can get right now.
That was the easiest engine insertion ever.
Literally had like this, the input shaft, and the engine went like that.
Yep.
Just like that.
That's amazing.
I've never seen it do that before, and this is always, like, I always lose sleep the day before thinking about it. I knew Aaron was coming, so I'm like, it's going to be okay. And it has been.
See, now that it's in there, I'm starting to get the little twingle of excitement because you've got a two-door with a 2.5 litre STI with a punchy turbo.
Yeah. Big block. And some aftermarket stuff.
That's really
We're going to
cool,
go Haltech. Man, I might even do like a water spray thing. Like this is what like starts to get fun in terms of mods.
Yes.
And an unopened block. So yes, that will never make more than 300 kilowatts ever.
Don't need
but
to.
It doesn't need to in this car.
We got other cars for that, Mark.
We do have other cars. And we didn't have to go through the whole rebuild thing, which I'd like to do at some stage. But this I'm very, 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 very now getting psyched about. And I reckon there's a whole nother day of mods to go. Probably a whole nother day of wiring. Then a dyno, then like there's
and
a
the
lot.
drive. There's still a lot to do. It's funny though, because you and I, looking at this, we're like, oh, just an engine swap. Phew. We don't have to redo the interiors or do subframes or paint it or whatever.
Yep.
But for most people, that's still a big deal.
Yes.
It's just that for us, based on all the really big stuff we've done this year, this is a treat.
Based on the fact that the Gemini had to get
Now you do custom cooling system. Now you're making intercooler pipes. Now you're making thermostat housings. Now you're doing, the inside's not done. You need all custom wiring. Like, don't have that for this car, so that's exciting. But I really love the feeling of driving these, and I think that with a punchy 2.5 big block is going to be absolutely excellent. And next episode, we're going to get into some more mods. Now the motor is mounted, we're going to get into some more modifications.
A massive thank you again to Castrol and to Supercheap Auto who are supporting this build. And of course, if you want to win $100,000 towards your dream car, grab some Castrol from Supercheap Auto if you're a club member or a trade member, and you could be going away with 50 Camrys, 1.5 Lotuses,
I don't think that's exactly
half a
how
Golf
it works.
GTI.
I think the deal is there's like a massive dealership that you can basically go to.
The deal is in the details down below.
You see.
The thing is, it's $100,000 and we're hoping a Mighty Car Mods viewer is going to get it, so check out all the information down there.
Thanks for watching. Next episode, more mods. Keen.